Hey, Seth? Karen? Hello?
Oh, just a second.
Yeah, oh.
Great. Now that I
Hey,
have
ready?
your attention.
You guys are ready to start?
Yeah, we're ready to start.
Okay, sorry, let me just put my phone away.
Hi, ACS community. My name is Kunrad Bugelink. I'm the Faith Formation Director at Abbotsford Christian School, and I'm joined by Seth Baker and Karen Reamer. Just to catch you up, we are in a series system-wide from K to 12 that's called We Will, We Won't, and it's a series where we talk about digital citizenship. What does it mean to be citizens of God's kingdom and using our technology and our devices well? And so if we weren't in COVID land, we would probably meet in a gymnasium and invite parents and community members together, and we'd have a conversation. We'd split up in groups and have positive discussions. But because of COVID, we are going to do it this way. We're going to check in with Seth and Karen to see how digital citizenship comes and intersects with education, and maybe even just get a little bit personal as well. So we're doing this with all the different high school admin, or the different school admin teams. And thank you so much for joining me today, Seth and Karen.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. The Bible is not very specific about our use of digital technology, but it can be helpful in helping us think well about how we use devices, etc. So are there Bible verses that come to mind that maybe are a good guide for us when we talk about digital citizenship?
Yeah, I think, Kunrad, one that comes to mind for me is Ephesians 4:29, where Paul tells people, don't let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is edifying or for the upbuilding of the community.
Right.
And I think that's important when we consider ideas, what we're posting online in our social media accounts, even what we're reading and viewing. Is it good? Is it building people up, or is it unwholesome?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. And then I think what comes to mind for me is when Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And on social media, truth can be really hard to find.
Yeah.
And I think truth can easily be distorted. And I think we can have an idea of ourselves that isn't truthful based on maybe the likes or the dislikes that we got on a social media post. And we can also be led down a path where we find information that isn't truthful. And so I think just the reminder that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the light is just important in the idea, or in the context of social media, just recognizing that as a community we do share the knowledge that God is our creator and Jesus is our savior, and that our truth is found in him.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. We have, as a system, been kind of using The Social Dilemma, which is a documentary that's available on Netflix, to kind of help us to think a little bit more intentionally about how social media works in our world. So both Seth and Karen, you've watched the documentary. What are some of your thoughts having watched that documentary?
For me, I think I had heard about the documentary, and I had kind of had an expectation of what it was going to be, and while that was true, I was still really shocked by the information and just by the content of the movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it, because even when you think you're pretty aware of what social media can do, there's a lot of information in there that it just kind of gets at the heart of some of the issues that we see. And I think hearing professionals from Silicon Valley who worked for social media giants talk about their concerns with what's kind of happening in social media was it was significant, I think, for me and for my husband, because we watched it together, and it started a conversation in our household around, how much have we not been aware of what we were doing with our practices around social media. And I mean, some of it led to at 10:30 last night me turning off all the notifications on my phone and knowing that there were things that I was becoming addicted to, right, that I just slowly had become part of my patterns and habits that perhaps weren't the healthiest.
Yeah, after I watched it, one thing that struck me was how the tech companies, it's kind of scary that they treat human minds as commodities. to be traded and
Yeah.
sold, and their information that can be used basically to keep people strung out on social media. So that was kind of scary to go, yeah, they're actually keeping a lot of this data and using different algorithms to
Right.
process that.
Yeah.
But I also liked that it didn't, the documentary didn't say get rid of all social media, get rid of all your technology. But I think it pointed out that as a school, as a community, it's important for us to work towards teaching our children how to think,
Yeah.
and how to engage technology appropriately and wisely,
Yeah.
so that they aren't, I guess, in a sense, swallowed up as another commodity.
Yeah, absolutely. I did feel a little bit at the end of watching the documentary like we needed to throw up our hands and say, government, save us, or big tech, save us. And I was reminded, as we go through our practices, that God's given us the ability to establish healthy ways to use our digital technology. So you mentioned one of them, turning off notifications, establishing healthy rhythms of powering devices down, establishing rest from our devices. Those kinds of things can be very effective too, because like you said, Seth, social media technology is not going to go away. It's with us, right, for the long term. So, and social media can be positive, which leads us into this next question. It's not all bad. What are some of the ways that you're observing that we as a community, not just ACS and its social media, but like as a broader community, church, homeschool, how are you seeing us engage social media well and positively when we are doing it well?
I think one way that we're doing well is during the pandemic. Pandemic kind of hit us blindside, but I think the technology and different social media has allowed people to stay connected, even through isolation and quarantines and self-monitoring that they may need to go through. I think about my parents. They're able to see some of their grandkids around different countries just through Facebook and FaceTime, and
that's great.
Those are good things.
Yeah, the ability to stay connected is significant, right? And then I love just, we have a group in Abbotsford, like a Pay It Forward group, where people have extra things that they're giving away for free to support people who are in a particular area of need. And I think just even about the way that a positive comment or a thread can really build somebody up and give them that extra spring in their step when they had been feeling really down about something. And it's been a great way for people to share when they need support, right? Like GoFundMe pages have raised so much money for families in need. And I think even just some of the society action around helping others is just really been a benefit, or has come out of social media.
Absolutely. Just yesterday, I imagine you as families engaged in a church service, and for us, our family uses YouTube to access our services, our church services digitally, and that's a social media platform that has been effective in keeping us connected to our faith and to our faith community. And so there's a lot of positives, absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. So as a system, we've been using 5 we wills and 5 we won't. So these are 5 we will positive practices and 5 we won't negative practices that kind of help guide a better understanding of digital citizenship. So having looked at these 5 we wills and 5 we won'ts, and parents, you can download this as a parent poster and hang it up in your home if you want to use these we wills and we won'ts as a launch pad for conversations in the home. You can do that. But Seth and Karen, what are some of the we wills and we won'ts that address some of the things that you're seeing in the elementary school that you might be reacting to within a school year?
I think one that stands out to me is the first one, learn to listen and discuss versus jump to judge. Interesting at the elementary school, because our students, when they share an opinion or a view that may sound kind of judgy or here's what I think, they're often parroting or just saying what they've heard from their parents. They haven't quite made this idea their own, but I've heard this topic, so I remember what mom said. My mom says XYZ about this.
Right.
And another child goes, oh, well, my dad says da da da, and then it turns into a fight where kids are arguing about something that their parents actually had been arguing about on social media.
Right.
And so hope to be able to, have the parents be careful in how they post and share around their kids.
Yeah. Okay, that's really helpful. The positive is that parent-child imprinting and impacting is working. That's great.
Yeah.
Can be really healthy for faith formation, but recognizing that some caution needs to happen as well, right? So if we're trying to have gracious spaces of having conversation and listening to one another, then we need to also hear that in church, home, and school, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with Seth. That's the first one that comes to mind. And then about thinking about it a little bit more, the whole idea of letting tech control our lives. I think that's a discussion we have as staff here at the elementary campus quite a bit, because we do have, we're a tech-rich school, right? We have projectors, we have computers, the teachers have laptops, we have computers on wheels that go into the classrooms, students using iPads. But what I love is that I think we've had really intentional discussions around when we're using technology, what's the purpose of it? Is it to consume information and to take stuff in, or is it for us to create things? And when I walk around, I love it when I see students who are using an iPad to create a movie, or they're using a computer to develop a PowerPoint presentation or a Word document. And I think the idea of thinking through what are we using our technology for, and is it for the creation and the making of things, or is it for the consumption of information, I think has been a beneficial discussion for us when it comes to how we use technology with our children.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think along with finding that balance in a day too, like how often do we use the laptops and the iPads, right?
Yeah.
And I think your teachers have been doing a great job with
Awesome.
that balance.
So you are on staff at ACS, you're administrators, but you are both also parents in a home with young children or older children. So what are some of the practices that you are building into family life around good use of digital technology, and what does it mean for you to talk about being digital citizens in the home?
That's kind of a horrible question to ask me, because I'm guilty of not having had this discussion. We have a 4-year-old son, and he doesn't have an iPad. He borrows our iPad, and I didn't think it was a discussion we needed to be having for a really long time. But I think I'm realizing that I was wrong. And yes, I was wrong. My husband will love that. He will replay that over and over and over. Because I think, even just the way that my 4-year-old uses YouTube Kids is probably a discussion that we need to have at our household, and talking about when do we put our devices away. And I think some of those discussions preemptively before they become a problem are probably better to be had now rather than later. I don't want to get caught in a position where when my son is in grade 5 or in middle school and asking for a phone, that we don't have an answer and we haven't thought through some of those things, or that we don't have just family rules around when do we have devices, and can they go in our bedroom, and all of those things. So I think in a way it's great that we're having this conversation for my family, because we're now starting with this discussion.
It's awesome. Seth?
And this makes me feel guilty, because there are days where I just need to give some of my younger kids some time on the iPad to watch a video or watch a show.
We've been there, haven't we? We have. Yes, we have.
Yeah, and then I think it's more just making sure that we've got some timers set up, parental guided access in place so that only certain apps are accessible. But there are times where, it is just best for our whole family's health and sanity if you take 20 minutes to watch this nice little video. But some other things we do too, like Karen alluded to, just having a set age. Here's an age when you can talk to mom and dad about the possibility of getting a phone. Here's the type of phone plan we'll get for you, so that you're restricted to when you can access data, things like that. So some of those conversations are taking place. And then just balance is a key thing. If it's a sunny day, let's prioritize getting outside, because we know the rain's going to come, and the screens are available all the time, but not the sun.
I think another thing as parents that we can be aware of is choosing what goes on our children's screens and what it is that they're playing on and that they're watching. And so if your child says, hey, can I have 5 Nights at Freddy's on my phone, that you take some time to look at what that is,
Yeah.
and that you make some decisions about what kind of apps or shows, or that you limit your content. I think I think there's lots of really amazing things that kids can learn from, and that can give them opportunities to thrive beyond what we've been able to do in the past. But there's also lots of opportunities for harm if we don't monitor that.
Absolutely. And just this conversation, this kind of dialogue is so helpful. Here we have 3 families represented. We're learning from each other, hearing from each other what are some of your practices and priorities in the home. And we really encourage you to do that as well. You might be connected to community groups like small groups or life groups through your church, or you may have a close set of friends, and we encourage you to have conversations with them to figure out what's going on in each other's homes as well, because you may have had a conversation like this where a child says, Mom, Dad, how come we're the only crazy family that has these kinds of rules and restrictions around
You're
devices?
the meanest mom!
Yeah, you're the meanest mom, exactly. So, and it's helpful to have these conversations to help us realize that probably we aren't the only families that have these kinds of worldviews that impact how we deal with digital technology. So we really encourage you to have those conversations in your homes. We have resources that are available. They'll be linked to this video as well. And we encourage you to use these resources and this video to kind of just launch and have conversations about digital technology and citizenship in your own families as well. I want to thank you, Karen and Seth, for joining us this morning, and many blessings to you as families as you engage in conversations with your little ones as well.